Have a look. Man, that's who beat you. Shame on you, my friend.
Shame on me.
Shame on you. You let man beat you.
Can't stand it.
In the world of boxing, where sweat and determination collide under the bright lights, imagine the tension as two fighters prepare to face off. One is a colossal powerhouse, muscles rippling like a coiled spring, ready to unleash raw force. The other, a cunning strategist, moves with the fluidity of water, eyes locked on every twitch and shift of their opponent.
Left kick by Cro Cop.
But when these two collide, which one truly holds the advantage? Tighten your seatbelt, because the answer might just surprise you and show you why you should never judge a book by its cover, as smart guys knock out jacked beats.
Another right hand. Whoa!
Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Ever wondered what happens when a larger-than-life character meets a powerhouse of punch in the ring? The clash between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder.
Good luck and touch him up. All right.
Was a spectacle that dramatically answered that question. Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, a larger-than-life character with a penchant for flamboyant entrances and an equally flamboyant personality, was facing off against Deontay Wilder.
All the makings of an outstanding fight. Yes, that was a big turn of events from Deontay Wilder, and then Fury at the end of the round showed...
The Bronze Bomber, known for his knockout power and a physique that looked like it was sculpted from granite. The first match on December 2018 was like a high-stakes chess game with gloves. Fury, who looks like he could moonlight as a circus ringmaster, danced around Wilder, whose power punches were as intimidating as his entrance music. Wilder's knockout power was legendary, but Fury's agility and resilience turned the fight into a masterclass of evasion. The bout ended in a dramatic split decision draw. Fury had been knocked down twice, but still managed to outmaneuver Wilder's punches with a flair that suggested he might be auditioning for a role in a circus act. Fast forward to February 2020, and the rematch was set up like a sequel to a blockbuster film. This time, Fury came in with an even more daring strategy, shedding some of his flamboyant moves for a more direct approach. He decided that dancing around wasn't going to cut it, and came to the ring with a plan that involved a lot of heavy artillery and a little less showbiz. From the opening bell, Fury turned into a whirlwind of fists and fury, throwing a combination of punches that seemed to surprise Wilder. Fury's strategy was to take the fight straight to Wilder, and it worked like a charm. By the 7th round, it was clear that Wilder's granite-like physique wasn't enough to withstand Fury's relentless assault. Wilder's corner threw in the towel, and Fury celebrated with the kind of joy that suggested he had just won a national holiday.
Not holding back anything, there is no secrets. It's straight there.
This fight seemed relatively easy to make.
Andy Ruiz versus Anthony Joshua. In a boxing match where the scales tipped in the most unexpected way, the scene was nothing short of surprising. The 2019 showdown between Andy Ruiz and Anthony Joshua was one of those jaw-dropping moments that made sports history. Anthony Joshua, with his chiseled physique and a body that looked like it was fashioned from solid rock, stepped into the ring against Andy Ruiz.
Andy Destroyer Ruiz,
who, let's just say, had a bit more of a dad bod going on. Joshua, the reigning heavyweight champion, was the picture of athleticism, with abs that could be used as a cheese grater. Ruiz, on the other hand, looked like he could double as a bouncer at a barbecue joint. From the start, Joshua's sleek, muscular frame seemed to be a clear advantage. But in a plot twist that could rival any Hollywood script, Ruiz came out, swinging with a fury that suggested he'd been eating not just for bulk, but for business. Despite Joshua's formidable physique and reputation, Ruiz's punches landed with surprising power, turning the ring into a stage for an epic upset. By the 7th round, it was clear that Ruiz's seemingly less conventional shape wasn't holding him back. Instead, his quick reflexes and relentless aggression overwhelmed Joshua. Ruiz ended the night with a knockout win, proving that sometimes
Champion of the world, Andy.
a little extra weight might just come with extra power and determination. In the end, it wasn't the abs that made the difference, but the heart and grit that came with them. It was a night when the heavyweight division learned that in boxing, you can't always judge a fighter by their cover or their waistline. But just when you thought the world of boxing couldn't get any more unpredictable, the next bout we're diving into flips the script once again. Roy Nelson versus Mirko Cro Cop. When an MMA legend with a deadly reputation faces a man who looks more at home at a barbecue than in the octagon, the encounter becomes a clash of contrasting worlds. The air was thick with anticipation as Roy Nelson, popularly known as Big Country,
Roy Nelson!
faced off against Mirko Cro Cop Filipovic in October 29, 2011, a fight that promised to challenge everything fans thought they knew about heavyweight combat.
Left kick by Cro Cop.
The 2011 showdown between Roy Nelson and Mirko Cro Cop was one of those matchups that had fans rubbing their hands in anticipation. On one side, you had Roy Nelson, a man with the kind of physique that made you wonder if he'd stumbled into the wrong sport until you saw him fight. On the other, Mirko Cro Cop, a Croatian kickboxing legend whose high kicks could knock the lights out on an entire block. When these two stepped into the octagon, the contrast couldn't have been more striking. Nelson, with his signature belly and scruffy beard, looked like he might have come straight from a backyard barbecue. Cro Cop, on the other hand, was all business, lean, mean, and with a stare that could probably knock out a few fighters before the bell even rang.
Cro Cop.
Oh no!
But here's the thing about Roy Nelson. Looks can be deceiving. Sure, he didn't have the chiseled abs or the sleek build of a typical heavyweight, but what he did have was a granite chin, a powerful right hand, and a knack for taking punishment that would make a brick wall jealous. Cro Cop, with his storied career and pride in the UFC, was no stranger to tough opponents, but Nelson's unorthodox style was something else entirely. From the start, the fight was a mix of tension and unexpected twists. Cro Cop, known for his lethal kicks, tried to keep Nelson at bay with a series of leg strikes and body shots. But Nelson, showing off that surprising athleticism hidden beneath his extra padding, kept coming forward. His game plan was simple but effective.
He's the one that's landing the better shots.
There's a liver kick by Cro Cop.
Absorb the damage, close the distance, and unleash that heavy right hand. As the rounds wore on, it became clear that Cro Cop's strategy wasn't going to be enough. Nelson's ability to weather the storm and keep pressing forward began to pay off. In the third round, Nelson found his moment. With Cro Cop tiring and his defenses starting to slip, Nelson unleashed a barrage of strikes that sent the Croatian legend crashing to the mat. The referee stepped in, and just like that, the fight was over. Roy Nelson had done it again, defying expectations and proving that in the fight game, it's not just about how you look, but how you fight. The victory solidified Nelson's reputation as one of the toughest heavyweights in the UFC, a man who might look like he should be holding a beer instead of a championship belt, but who could take down even the most feared opponents. In the end, the Nelson versus Cro Cop fight was more than just a clash of styles. It was a reminder that sometimes the underdog, or in this case, the underbelly, can deliver the knockout blow.
We are once again going to the judges' scorecards.
Time, gentlemen, time!
Janan versus Kelvin Walter.
Durchtrainiert, wie es aussieht. Bei mir Fabricius, No Time MMA.
In June 2023, the boxing match between Janan and Kelvin Walter was a spectacle that could have been plucked straight out of a Hollywood underdog script. Except this one didn't have a fairy tale ending for Walter. This bout wasn't just a clash of fists. but also a vivid contrast of physiques, experience, and expectations. Dragan Janan, the Bosnian brawler with a physique that screamed, "built for durability," strutted into the ring with the confidence of a man who had seen it all. Standing at 6 feet with a solid 200-pound frame, Janan looked every bit the seasoned veteran he was. His body, carved from years of grueling fights, was a testament to the old-school boxing mantra: power, endurance, and just the right amount of "I've been hit harder in sparring." On the other hand, Kelvin Walter's appearance might have led some to believe he'd taken a wrong turn on his way to a bodybuilding competition. At 6 feet 3 inches and 210 pounds of chiseled muscle, Walter looked like he'd been sculpted by Michelangelo himself, if Michelangelo had a side gig making Instagram models. Walter's physique was impressive, no doubt, with abs that seemed to defy the laws of human anatomy. But as any seasoned boxer will tell you, muscles don't win fights. Technique, experience, and a good chin do. The fight began with Walter trying to leverage his physical gifts, throwing heavy, if somewhat telegraphed, punches. But Janan, with the patience of a seasoned predator, weathered the storm. As the rounds progressed, it became clear that Janan's physique was built not just for show, but for war. His body absorbed Walter's blows with a shrug, while his own punches began to land with increasing precision. Then, in the later rounds, it happened. Janan, who had been biding his time, delivered a right hand that connected with Walter's jaw like a wrecking ball. Walter's Herculean body, so formidable at first glance, crumpled to the canvas, muscles and all. The knockout was as swift as it was brutal, leaving Walter's once imposing physique sprawled on the mat, a stark reminder that in the ring, it's not just about how you look, it's about how you fight. For Janan, the victory was another notch on his well-worn belt.
Ja, Janan ist nicht.
Oh mein Gott!
Walter!
Proving that while muscles might get you likes on social media, it's skill and experience that get you wins in the ring. Walter, on the other hand, left the ring with a new understanding. Sometimes, a knockout punch is the best filter of all. Ismael Lazar versus Gideon Ogar. The boxing match between Ismael Lazar and Gideon Ogar was an exhilarating clash of styles, strengths, and sheer willpower that had fans on the edge of their seats from start to finish. Lazar, known for his raw power and bullish fighting style, faced off against Ogar, a more technically sound and agile fighter, in what many anticipated to be a classic power versus finesse showdown. Ismael Lazar, who hails from the Netherlands, is a beast of a man at 6 feet 3 inches. He's built like a brick wall, with a physique that screams power, broad shoulders, arms that look like they could crush coconuts, and a chest that would make a bear jealous. Lazar's strategy in the ring has always been simple: hit hard, hit often, and don't let the other guy get up. His knockout record is a testament to this approach. And stepping into the ring with him is akin to stepping into a thunderstorm with an iron rod. Gideon Ogar, on the other hand, is a fighter from Nigeria who relies on speed, precision, and endurance. Standing at 6 feet 1 inch, Ogar is slightly shorter than Lazar, but makes up for it with an incredibly lean, muscular frame. Where Lazar is a sledgehammer, Ogar is a scalpel, slicing through defenses with pinpoint jabs and lightning-fast combinations. His footwork is a thing of beauty, a dance that keeps opponents guessing and off balance. The fight itself was a brutal back and forth, as Lazar came out swinging, throwing wild haymakers that could have ended the match early if they connected cleanly. Ogar, however, used his agility to duck and weave, landing sharp counters that frustrated the Dutchman.
Knew the left kick was coming.
For much of the match, it looked like Ogar's strategy of wearing Lazar down with speed and precision would pay off. But Lazar, with his iron chin and relentless aggression, managed to land a crushing blow in the later rounds that staggered Ogar. The decisive moment came in the 10th round, when Lazar, after absorbing what seemed like a barrage of punches from Ogar, delivered a powerful uppercut that sent Ogar reeling. Lazar followed up with a devastating hook that knocked Ogar to the canvas, securing a knockout victory. In the end, it was Lazar's sheer power and resilience that won the day, but Ogar's skill and heart made it a fight to remember. This bout reminded everyone why boxing is called the sweet science, a delicate balance of power, precision, and perseverance. Mark Hunt versus Czech Congo. In a sport where the unexpected is the norm, the most shocking moment often comes when fans least anticipate it, leaving them gasping in disbelief and wondering if they just witnessed a miracle or a complete fluke. One such moment that sent shockwaves through the UFC.
Qué importante va a ser. Aproveche el momento.
Was when the highly anticipated boxing match between Mark Hunt and Czech Congo took place at UFC 144 on February 25, 2012. In Saitama, Japan. Fans were buzzing with excitement, eager to witness a clash of two heavyweight titans. Hunt, a former K1 kickboxing champion with a reputation for his devastating knockout power, faced off against Congo, a formidable striker with a solid grappling background. As the fighters made their way to the octagon, the atmosphere was electric. Congo, standing tall and confident, looked like a man ready to unleash his inner beast. Hunt, on the other hand, strolled in with the casual swagger of a guy who just finished a barbecue. The contrast was palpable, and the crowd could feel the tension in the air. The first round kicked off, and Congo wasted no time, charging at Hunt like a freight train. He attempted to grapple, but Hunt, with the agility of a seasoned matador, sidestepped the takedown attempt. It was as if he was saying, "Nice try, but not today." Then, in a moment that would have made any boxing coach proud, Hunt unleashed a left hook that landed with the precision of a laser-guided missile. Congo, who had been moving forward with all the grace of a giraffe on roller skates, found himself crashing to the canvas. The crowd erupted, and Hunt's expression was a mix of disbelief and triumph, as if he had just discovered the secret to the universe. As Congo hit the mat, the referee rushed in to stop the fight. Hunt had delivered a knockout that would be talked about for years to come. He raised his arms in victory, basking in the adoration of the fans, while Congo lay on the canvas, contemplating his life choices. In the post-fight interview, Hunt humorously remarked, "I guess Congo didn't get the memo that I'm not just a pretty face." The audience roared with laughter, and Congo, while gracious in defeat, probably thought about switching careers to interpretive dance. Mark Hunt's knockout of Czech Congo was more than just a victory. It was a statement. It reminded everyone that in the world of heavyweight fighting, anything can happen, and often does. Ben Rothwell versus Alistair Overeem. In a showdown between strength and size, it's not the muscular powerhouse who wins, but the giant who uses his massive weight to become an unstoppable force. This is the case with the ring combat we are about to spill out. The boxing match between Ben Rothwell and Alistair Overeem took place on September 5, 2014, at UFC Fight Night 50 in Ledyard, Connecticut.
Guys wearing the black trunks. Overeem going up top with the right.
This highly anticipated bout was particularly intriguing as it followed Overeem's suspension due to a failed drug test earlier that year, which had left fans questioning his return to the octagon. Leading up to the fight, Overeem had been under scrutiny after testing positive for elevated testosterone levels, resulting in a 9-month suspension. This added an extra layer of suspense to the matchup, as fans wondered if Overeem would be at his best, or if the layoff would affect his performance. Rothwell, known for his heavy hands and unorthodox style, was eager to capitalize on any potential weaknesses. Overeem, on the other hand, was coming off a string of losses and was desperate to regain his status as a top contender. The pre-fight press conference became a heated affair, with both men trading barbs and insults. Rothwell accused Overeem of being a dirty fighter, while Overeem dismissed Rothwell as a has-been. The fans lapped it up, eager to see the two heavyweights settle their differences in the cage. When the opening bell rang, Rothwell and Overeem came out swinging. Overeem, known for his devastating kickboxing, tried to keep Rothwell at bay with his long jab. But Rothwell, undeterred, kept pressing forward, looking for an opening to land his heavy hands. In a moment that would go down in UFC history, Rothwell landed a massive right hand that sent Overeem crashing to the canvas. The crowd erupted in cheers, and Rothwell celebrated by doing his signature zombie walk around the octagon. In the post-fight interview, Rothwell couldn't resist a dig at his opponent. He said, "I told you he was a dirty fighter," grinning from ear to ear. But tonight, he got what was coming to him. Overeem, on the other hand, was left to pick up the pieces of his shattered reputation. He had been knocked out by a fighter he had once dismissed as a has-been, and the loss would haunt him for years to come. Rothwell's knockout victory was a testament to his skill and determination, and it cemented his status as one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. But just when the crowd thought they had seen it all, the shock in the ring wasn't over yet, and what came next would leave everyone questioning everything they thought they knew about the fight game. Mike Russo versus Todd Duffy. Let us take you back to one of the most unexpected moments in the world of heavyweight brawls. Mike Russo versus Todd Duffy, a showdown that shook the MMA community to its core at UFC 114 on May 29, 2010, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, if you were placing bets before this fight, you'd probably have put your money on Todd Duffy.
Jacked up. Russo!
He was the young, chiseled Adonis of the UFC, fresh off a record-setting 7-second knockout in his debut. He was fast, fierce, and, quite frankly, terrifying. On the other side, you had Mike Russo, a guy who looked more like your friendly neighborhood plumber than a professional fighter. The guy had a dad bod before dad bods were cool, and let's just say, nobody expected him to be the last man standing. The fight started exactly as everyone expected. Duffy came out like a wrecking ball, throwing bombs with every intent to end things early. The commentators were practically tripping over their words, showering Duffy with praise as Russo took shot after shot, wobbling like a weeble. But, as the saying goes, weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. Russo just wouldn't go away, no matter how many haymakers Duffy threw his way. By the second round, the crowd started getting restless. They had come to see a quick execution, not a marathon. Duffy was starting to look a little frustrated. He was throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Russo. But the guy was still standing there, like a human punching bag that refused to drop. Russo's face was showing the wear and tear. He was bruised, bloodied, and probably questioning his life choices. But there was something in his eyes that said, "I'm not done yet." Then, in the third round, when everyone was ready to write Russo off as just another stepping stone on Duffy's path to glory, something extraordinary happened. Todd Duffy, the picture of heavyweight perfection, was running out of steam. His punches were losing their snap, his footwork was getting sloppy, and that's when Russo saw his opening. With the kind of timing that you usually only see in sports movies, Russo unleashed a right hand from the depths of his soul. It connected with Duffy's chin, and suddenly, the roles were reversed. The crowd, the commentators, even Duffy himself couldn't believe what was happening. The invincible powerhouse was on spaghetti legs, and Russo, smelling blood in the water, went in for the kill. A few more punches, and Duffy crumbled to the canvas like a Jenga tower hit by a wrecking ball. The arena exploded. Mike Russo had just pulled off one of the greatest comebacks in UFC history. A comeback so unlikely, it made Rocky Balboa look like a documentary. As Russo's hand was raised in victory, he looked more surprised than anyone. Todd Duffy was left wondering how the hell that just happened, while the rest of the MMA world was left to marvel at the fact that sometimes, in this crazy sport, it's not the guy with the most muscles who wins, but the guy with the most heart, and maybe a few extra pounds to absorb the punches. But just as the crowd thought the night had reached its peak, a new pair of fighters stepped into the ring, promising a showdown that would push the tension to a breaking point. If the previous match had stunned everyone into disbelief, what is about to unfold next promises to shatter all preconceptions and leave you in astonishment. Barnett versus Travis Y. Let us go back to a night in the cage that was as unpredictable as Chris Barnett's fighting style itself. The matchup? Chris Barnett, known as Beat Boy, versus Travis Whiff, a fight that promised to be a clash of two very different worlds. And it did not disappoint. First, let's talk about Chris Barnett. Imagine a guy who looks like he could be the life of any party, built like a brick wall with a belly that says, "I enjoy life," but moves like a man half his size. Barnett is a walking contradiction. He's got the physique of someone who might be more comfortable on a couch with a bucket of chicken wings. But instead, this guy is throwing spinning wheel kicks that could knock the popcorn out of your hands. Barnett's career is a colorful mix of MMA, where he dazzled fans from the US to Asia, and a bit of boxing, where he tested his striking skills and probably surprised a few opponents who thought they were up against just another big guy. On the other side, you've got Travis Whiff, a man who's been fighting since most people were still figuring out how to do basic algebra. Whiff is the kind of guy who's seen it all. He's fought in more organizations than most fighters can name, and has a resume thicker than a phone book. Whiff's style is straightforward: take you down, keep you down, and make you regret ever stepping into the cage with him. He's got a little bit of boxing under his belt too, where he learned to throw hands just as well as he could throw someone to the mat. So, when these two met in the cage, everyone knew it was going to be interesting, but no one quite knew how interesting. As the fight began, Whiff went straight to work with his usual game plan: take Barnett down and keep him there. And for a while, it looked like that plan was going to work. Barnett was on his back, and Whiff was grinding away like he was getting paid by the minute. But here's the thing about Barnett. He's like a pressure cooker. He might seem contained, but if you give him even a little room to breathe, he's going to explode. And explode he did. After weathering the storm on the ground, Barnett got back to his feet and started doing what he does best: throwing wild, unpredictable strikes that make you wonder if he's playing by the same rulebook as everyone else. Then came the moment that no one saw coming, except maybe Barnett. In a move straight out of a martial arts movie, Barnett unleashed a spinning wheel kick. Now, you don't expect a man of his size to even attempt something like that, let alone land it. But Barnett isn't your average fighter. The kick connected with Whiff's head, and down he went. Faster than you can say, "Did that just happen?" The crowd went wild, and Barnett, always the showman, celebrated like he just won the lottery.
Chris Barnett became a prominent figure wherever he performed.
Because in a way, he had. For Chris Barnett, this victory was another notch on his belt of unbelievable moments. A reminder that he's not just a fighter, he's an entertainer. As for Travis Whiff, well, it was one of those nights where you just have to shake your head, tip your hat, and acknowledge that sometimes, in this crazy sport, the unpredictable happens. And when it does, it's usually courtesy of Chris Barnett. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.